Hi guys, let us talk about Anwar Ibrahim and Yusoff Rawther today. Anwar might be the greatest Malaysian politician to ever grace the landscape of Malaysian politics. Before Anwar, the title belonged to Mahathir, but considering that Anwar is the only person to have defeated Mahathir, that title likely belongs to him today. It took Anwar 25 years to go from prison to Putrajaya, but when he came with a bang. Although he only won the 2022 election by decision, not a knockout, in the 2.5 years since he has reigned, brick by brick, dollar by dollar, he has consolidated his power in Putrajaya to the point his position in Putrajaya today is likely unassailable. With cunning, determination, and daring, he has checkmated everybody who could possibly dethrone him. From Mahathir to Muhyiddin, Hadi to Abang Joe, nobody can touch him today. Although it looked like they were just inches away from pulling the carpet from under his feet for the first 2 years of his reign. Anwar is so secure in his power today that he has even begun to take punitive action against his enemies. Daim just had his towers and millions seized. Daim might be the first one to be on the receiving end of Anwar the Great, but I doubt that he's going to be the last. In the days to come, I am quite confident that Anwar the Great will be seizing the glory of all of his enemies, wear them as his own, and bask in the glory of an ultimate winner. However, as they say, nobody trips over a mountain. It's always the small pebbles that causes you to stumble. Although Anwar has taken care of all the mountains in his way, a small pebble that he has ignored for far too long, as he was busy paving his way to greatness, might be the one to finally bring him down. That little pebble that goes by the name Yusoff Rawther, like the little engine that could, is defying all expectations by not letting his littleness stand in the way of his grand aim to bring down Anwar. The jury is still out as to why Yusoff is so determined to bring down Anwar. Some people are saying that Yusoff is planning to bring down Anwar because of ulterior motives. But I don't know. When I look at him, it doesn't look to me like it is things like money or position that is what is motivating Yusoff. I doubt that it is truth or justice either, like Yusoff claims. When I read Yusoff's statutory declaration, I feel that even if what he has written in his SD is true, it is unlikely that he is fighting for the truth and justice. Simply because if you are the sort of person that can be so dedicated to fight for truth and justice for more than half a decade, for a small problem like the one he had with Anwar, you probably will be fighting every other person in this world non-stop. From somebody honking at you on the road or cutting you off in a queue, the list of people you'll be fighting as you grind through this thing we call life will be endless. For context, Yusoff, by his own admission in his SD, did not suffer something like serious physical assault or rape uh, in his quarrel with Anwar. The injustice he suffered in the hands of Anwar, as alleged by him, can probably just be described as a case of lewdness, flashing, which all the male adults I know would have settled by themselves, not call the cops. Personally, I think that Yusoff is on the offensive against Anwar, not for ulterior motives, like money or promises of position or whatnot, as some people allege. I think he's just going against Anwar for himself. I think so, because when I look at him, he just strikes me like a guy who has just had enough. In many ways, it does look to me like one of those guys who get into serious fights because they got honked on at the road or because somebody cut them off in a queue. They probably just got tired of feeling like they are a nobody and being treated dismissively by everybody like they are a nobody. Yes, the issue that they are fighting for itself is petty. But sometimes, after you have dealt with one too many petty issues where people treated you dismissively and with contempt as if you are a nobody that cannot do anything, you might just explode and make the petty issue that you have with them, like them honking at you on the road or cutting you off in a queue, as a cause that you're willing to die for. In another way, Yusoff's problem with Anwar actually reminded me of a problem that I had with a prominent politician in the country last year. When it happened to me, I too was actually quite determined to see it through, come hell or high water. Not chiefly because I thought I was right, although I did think I was right, but simply because I had nothing to lose and everything to gain. If I lost against the prominent politician, nobody will look down on me because nobody expects me to win against him in the first place. But if I won against him, I would have been a giant killer. I would have been a veritable David against one of the Goliaths of Malaysian politics. In a way, other than being tired of being treated like he is a nobody, I think Yusoff, like I was briefly last year, might also be tempted to go against Anwar to become the David of Malaysia. Anyway, when I put myself in Anwar's shoes, I feel that his trouble with Yusoff is a warning sign to all of us who aspire to greatness as to the perils of ignoring the little things in life. As they say, the devil is in the detail. While Anwar was laser focused on rubbing shoulders with President Xi Jinping and President Putin, or punishing Daeb or Mahathir because he believes that it is in these deeds that the seeds of his greatness will be planted, his mistake is in underestimating a pebble like Yusoff, who might end up costing him dearly. If there is another historical incident that reminds me of Anwar's and Yusoff's problem, it is the one between King Pyrrhus and an unknown old woman and soldier. Pyrrhus was one of the great conquerors of the ancient world, but we are unlikely to hear of him or his greatness as we are of Alexander the Great or Julius Caesar. Why? Well, that is because Pyrrhus' greatness was cut short abruptly by an unknown old woman who threw a roof tile on Pyrrhus's head and caused him to fall down from his horse and break his spine. An unknown soldier will then approach the unconscious king and decapitate him. Pyrrhus will not only lose his life in this quirk of fate, he also lost his shot at greatness. You know what I think was happening in Pyrrhus's mind right before he was abruptly cut down in this way? I think he was probably busy thinking about winning the war, conquering the city, and imagining how glorious it will be when he finally triumphed over all of his enemies. Because of that, he ignored the old woman on the roof, and the next thing you know, he lost his life in this world and his spot in the pages of history. Will Anwar suffer the same fate as Pyrrhus? Well, going by how Anwar's opponent like Muhyiddin and Mahathir are standing behind Yusoff, as if Yusoff is their David that they can count on to bring down Anwar the Great, I think there is a possibility that it might actually happen. As they say, never underestimate a man who overestimates himself. Yusoff is certainly overestimating himself, so you can't underestimate him. It might be the little unknown him that will be the one that brings down the greatest politician that Malaysia has ever seen. Pyrrhus, by the way, is the king that the term Pyrrhic victory is named after. A Pyrrhic victory is a win that comes at such a devastating cost to the victor that is essentially equal to a defeat. The term came about after Pyrrhus, upon being told that he had won a battle after losing most of his troops, would famously lament, "If I were to win one more battle like this, I will be utterly ruined." Anwar and his teams are most probably going to do whatever they can to win against Yusoff. But as they plot as to how they are going to do that, perhaps they should take a leaf from King Pyrrhus's experience and realize that winning is not always worth the trouble. Some wins are so devastating that losing might actually be the better option. If you lose, all you will likely suffer is some bruises and embarrassment. But if you win, however, you might certainly go to ruin. That's all I have for you today, guys. See you again soon.